Welcome back, folks, to World of Warships Legends. I'm Soopa-Dave, and today we're doing our build and play guide on Des Moines. Now, we've already done Alaska and Worcester, and I can assure you that they all play differently and they're all a lot of fun, depending on how you play them. For our commander, we are using Victor Einstein. Now, if you don't have Victor Einstein and you're free to play, don't worry. Norman Scott works wonderfully on the ship as well. Also, Azure Lane Baltimore can work. And if you want to do kind of a stealthier build, Sheepley works as well. For inspirations, we're using Nikolai Kuzmanov and Francesco Mimbelli, basically the only cruiser inspirations I ever use, whirl about, and this is where we get into the fun. So, if you can take Ingenious, and the reason is not for the guns to really turn quicker. It is more about the warning indicator of ships currently targeting you. That is actually very big on this ship. You will talk about the armor on it, but you do not want to get hit by battleships on this thing at all. Not even a little bit. Also, for the second skill, we are using Intuitive. Again, the radar duration, sonar duration helpful, but showing that nearest enemy ship is a huge help, especially if you're like me and you like to chase down destroyers. And you could, if you wanted, you could take Igniter here if you're a little bit more conservative. But honestly, in this ship, you should be balancing, you should be finding that fine line between chasing cruisers or chasing destroyers and eliminating them and not getting murked by battleships. It's a hard balance, but that's kind of how this thing plays. Punch through for the AP. The AP is amazing on this ship. Completely awesome. Fixated for the shell grouping and dispersion, and a refill station to help with the reload time and range if you do have somebody close enough to you. So for our modifications, we're using Aiming Systems Mod 1, Propulsion Mod 2, and as always, Concealment Mod 1. Now, for your last slot, you could do a couple things here if you want. You could either take the Gunfire Control Systems Mod 2, which honestly, that's not a bad decision here. Also, with the carriers, you could take the AA mods. I have a tendency to actually prefer the main battery mod 3. That's just me. Because we have all them perks to traverse speed, that 15% doesn't hurt us even in the slightest. So for your loadout, you get two sonars. They are about average. Nothing to shout out about. And the radar is very good on this at just under 10 kilometers. The repair party isn't bad. Like I said, you could go with fully packed to get one more of each of these. I find myself not needing three of each of these, so that's why I go with refill station. For your specs, you have 50,000 health. You don't want to be using it if you can help it, to be honest with you. Artillery, this is where this thing shines, man. This artillery, this rating should be 100 because these 8-inch guns on this thing, they reload so quick. This is a heavy cruiser that has light cruiser reload times and absolutely can wreck face. This is one of the most fun DPM ships I've ever been in. If you do not have it, I would 100% go to it. So you have on this particular build, we have a little bit shorter range, which I find doesn't hurt me very much. At 16.4 at legendary tier, that's kind of a lower. Reload time is amazing at 4.6. You could get that lower, I suppose, if you really wanted to. And your 180 time is 23 seconds, which honestly, because I play all ships, including battleships, I don't have a problem with that turret traverse. Because you're also not going to be winding about and dodging shells in this a whole lot, unless you're a very aggressive player like me. So you're not going to have to worry too much about your 180 time on this. The HE damage is 2,500 with a 14% chance of fires. That sounds pretty low, but this thing can absolutely burn down stuff if you want it to. This thing is a jack of all trades. If you want to just shoot HE out of this thing, you absolutely can. If you only want to shoot AP out of this thing, you absolutely can. It is one of the best ships for any player in the game, in my opinion, as long as you don't get yourself just smoked by battleships. AA defense, pretty good from what I can tell. Haven't had a ton of experience on this, but I've went up against Des Moines and it's not fun. They just take down all your planes. All right. You could make this even crazier if you wanted. Maneuverability, 33 knots, 770 turning circle, and an 8.6 rudder. Not bad. I feels very mid tier to me for legendary for cruisers. Concealment 11.2. You could get that down, I think, with Sheeply. I think I got it down to 9 something. But honestly, not for me particularly worth it. Stats in the ship. You can see even in just 7 matches and getting dev struck my first match, like pretty classic thing for me to do when I get into a ship. Be aggressive, get dev struck, see what you can do and can't do. I know there's an armor thing on there, but I like to test that. But we have won at a 71% rate. And you can see we actually have survived a lot of battles. And when you get hit in this thing, that will be pretty amazing to you. And the main gun accuracy at 42%, I can assure you that's actually higher because I do a lot of mountain shooting, shooting at destroyers, and random shooting into smoke. Okay, so you're going to see some of that in this match too. This is pretty darn accurate, especially for not having a huge range on it to help it. But in my opinion, pretty accurate. Now, you can see my average damage is 100,000, so it's solid even after getting dev struck right away. And my potential damage is 700,000, which I would not recommend getting shot at as much as I do. I just am a little bit more aggressive. That's why the match I'm about to show you is beautiful because it shows both playstyles in one whole shindig here. Armor. This thing has really good armor and really bad armor. What do I mean? If you're going against other cruisers, for the most part, unless it's Alaska or Stalingrad, you are going to absolutely wreck face, and it has the armor to take on anything. Now, Alaska, Stalingrad, and higher, this armor not super handy. Although it does have a 27 millimeter bow, meaning it can bow tank 15-inch and less guns, which is handy at times, and you're gonna see it play out in our match today. The one issue with this ship, guys, a lot of battleships overmatch you. So this Citadel, super accessible everywhere. In that legendary tier, there is a whole lot of accuracy and not a whole lot overpins this thing. It's not a Mino, but it's pretty close. You want to keep yourself not spotted when around battleships. I cannot make that statement any more clear. Unless you can angle and they don't overmatch you, you got to be real careful against battleship. This is a huge citadel for a cruiser. It's up out of the water, and it doesn't. Ships have a tendency not to overpin this. So if you don't angle against cruisers in particular, you can have trouble against cruisers, but again, if you angle against cruisers, you're going to be just fine. It's the battleships that you're going to have a problem with. As we start the match, it's disclaimer time. This is a beginner's video meant to help people new to the ship or new to the game. This is not meant for professional gamers that know everything there is to know about everything in the universe. There are multiple ways to play and build this ship, And I am a above average player, not the world's best. I make mistakes. You may see one in this match. You didn't come here for pronunciations. I'm as good as anybody at slaughtering beautiful languages all the time. With that out of the way, we are starting on Two Brothers. And one thing I can assure you is this is a beautiful map for patience, okay? You got to be careful when being aggressive on this map because if you're the only target that's available, you will absolutely get wrecked a lot of times. As you can see, we have a Mino here, no camo on, but he actually, to his credit, a lot of camo players have a tendency to get dev struck right away or not be the greatest players. If my memory serves me right, he actually ends up being a pretty solid player on our team. And we're going to go ahead and push up. Obviously, this is a very popular island to sit behind. I like to do it because I like to get rid of destroyers. And destroyers get this false sense of security when they're spotting if they don't see you behind an island. So you can see we're just going to try to get behind the island. We can see Shimikaze's coming, which is good because our Musashi is sitting at the back of the map here, doing a very Musashi Yamato thing. So we're going to go ahead. As you can see, he is, not helping a lot. Now our Shimikaze throws down a smoke here. I think he was trying to help. It behind to the right of the island would have been a little bit more helpful. But to be honest, it looks like he was trying to help. So we're going to go ahead and fire, get ready to fire. You can see I am spotted right now. 3 people, 2 people aiming, 4 people aiming. I know the destroyer's here, right? I wait a second. And then I go ahead and spot him. I actually thought he was going to be a little bit more farther to the right. To be honest with you, we have him radared, and I accidentally moved forward a little bit right before I radared. I went to full throttle thinking I'd be able to get him while I stay behind the island a little bit. But he wasn't as far right that I thought. But you're going to see here, this ship is a fine balance between the biggest thing in this ship is you're going to see we're going to absolutely tear apart this Kappa now and do my favorite thing ever, and that's take apart destroyers. This ship is a very fine balance, guys. You can do a lot of things in this ship, but in my opinion, you should be on the razor's edge in between hunting down destroyers and get rid of them, or trying to get rid of them, and not taking battleship shells to your citadel. That's like the hardest balance with this ship. It's an amazing match, or an amazing ship in a lot of ways. As you can see, we are just going to unload with our AP into Lepanto. We did have a guy in this match just complaining about his destroyer. He just started whining about his destroyer. And toxic players can be rough in this game, and that's one thing I want to say. If you just come out and you don't ask for help from your teammates and you just start screaming at a destroyer who actually is trying to spot for you, as you can see, he's on the other map. That problem is you, okay? And you're also in a battleship. You can 100% spot for yourself in a battleship, in some degrees. But yeah, he's toxic. He's obviously not gonna. You're gonna see where he finishes on the leaderboard. It's not amazing. That's the way most toxic players that complain about their teammates end up doing. So, but anyway, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna light up this Yama, and you can see we're spotted, but we're not panicking. We're not moving, and the reason is nobody's got their guns targeted on us. There's no reason to panic. And that's why I love this perk, is sometimes when you think you're going to get shot at, I should absolutely be getting the main focus of the team. There it is. 4 people aiming at me. So now we have to be careful. So we're going to try to use our island here to help shield us just a tiny bit. As you can see, Lepanto clearly was the one spotting us. Now our destroyer gets his butt kicked. And that's okay. He helped take out Kaba. He did a little bit of spotting. Honestly, not the end of the world. I wish he would have stayed and spotted here. But he's not going to have the world's worst play here in a little bit. But we're going to go ahead and try to shoot at Yami, and we do light him Yami up pretty good here. We're gonna be real annoying to Yami. As you can see, our Musashi really could have used his spotting here. You're in a Musashi. If you're ever playing Musashi or Yamato, you have a wonderful ability to bow tank everything in the game but yourself. Or angle correctly against everything. They're very tanky ships when you angle correctly. But we're going to be patient. There is no reason to come out right now. This is still obviously 100% a very losable game yet. So we're not going to be dumb. And this is the one thing I wanted to show about this match. As you can see, I'm not being super aggressive here. We know that there's 5 guys over on this side. So if I get spotted, I'll be the main focus of the whole enemy team, and we're just gonna lay as many shells as we can, as our Mino is doing a little bit of spotting for us. And you can see there is Lepanto, and we got to worry about him. Yami is mostly hurt, but Lepanto is doing most of their spotting for their team now that their destroyer's gone. And he's broadside to us, so we are going to absolutely do our best to light him up. And you can see it does not take very long to start racking up some solid damage in this thing if you have spotting. Now, I don't play in divisions, so for me, sometimes cruisers like this can be rough because there's times when you're going to need spotting. If I pull out right now, absolutely I'll get wrecked. If I'm too aggressive, you will get absolutely demolished. And now this is one thing I wanted to show you. Why my accuracy numbers are always lower than what they should be. This is me just trying to throw shells down because I've been sitting here with some very interesting spotting, obviously. As you can see, our battleship is not helping us. I wish he would have, like I said, probably maybe an inexperienced player, but his help spotting, as you can see, we're just going to start to light this Yama up here. And you can see our destroyer, our Shimakaze, went all the way around up the middle to spot. So kudos to him. And he's actually going to torp the Borgo. So good play by that Shimakaze in helping us get some spotting, because you're going to see we're actually going to do a pretty good job getting rid of Yami. Now, if I remember correctly, I think Shimakaze gets himself caught, but to be fair here, honestly, not the end of the world. Like, he did a pretty good play there. We're going to light up Lepanto here, and you can see our Lepanto's trying to either take a blind fire shot or shot at Musashi. So now I'm trying to be careful. I'm trying to get shots as he's still spotted. We're getting spotting from the Holland now, the other destroyer that was on the other side of the map. Now, this is where I get aggressive. And why do I get aggressive here? I know where most of their ships are. I have a radar, a sonar. I can be pretty safe. I know that I have the Yamato almost out on health, and the Lepanto doesn't overmatch me. So in the second here, you're going to see me get pretty aggressive, and we're going to move up. Once I realize he's not going to... I was hoping Musashi was going to go ahead and spot for us, but again, I should have known better. He's been doing the whole match. So we're going to absolutely move up here. And knowing that everything in the game now, I can either bow tank or get rid of very quickly. So Yamato is, you can see he doesn't have much help. As soon as I get him, if I get where I can shoot him, he's going to be dead very, very quickly. So as you see, especially now, he's almost completely out of health. We've taken a good chunk of his health down. The Yamato and that Kaba were basically what I was mostly shooting at, and also can be two of your biggest threats. So we're gonna go ahead, keep shelling rounds. You can see I am still being careful that I'm not just full charging out. I'm aware. So now I know that Lepanto is the only thing I really got to worry about on this side. And as you can see, we are starting to go ahead and start win now. But this is why it's a good time to push, is because getting rid of Yamato's good. And also check out this Lepanto. And this Lepanto is going to make a huge mistake here. We're going to start to unload shells, right? And he is going to panic. And I don't blame him, but this is not a good play if you're Lepanto. You're 10 kilometers out. I pop my radar because he's hiding in his smoke, and now I get to blind fire shoot him. Like, he can't see me in the slightest. You see, I'm trying to keep a little bit of distance here. And honestly, at this point, I probably could have switched to ATP, or HE, but I was really just trying to finish him off. Here, as you see, we're going to get really close to actually getting rid of him before we get spotted here. You can see I'm staying angled to him and trying to get my guns off, but trying to stay angled so that he doesn't go right through our bow. I mean, right through into our citadel. You can see we take them shots just fine. Also, too, making yourself skinny sometimes can just be really helpful. Also, as I try to get one more shot off, and they all shatter, so he angles just correctly enough. And I see the Mino. You're gonna see that brings my attention very quickly. Minos, if we can get rid of Minos. The Musashi can take that guy out. We need to get rid of Mino. This is the other DPM monster, really, I feel, in the game. There's a lot of them, but I really like Mino and Des Moines for the DPM output. And you can see Lepanto's trying to really hurt us. He's not being able to do much. And you can see we absolutely shred that Mino. We got 6 citadels on him. He was not long for this world at all once we got to him. So, again, we know where the last guy is. Not much of a threat. I'm not even too worried about him. I'm angled. The second I see him, I'm just going to light him up. And you cannot, in this Lepanto, I'm not trying to be rude to this player, as we get our high caliber, you cannot sit broadside to a Des Moines shooting AP. It just is not going to work. You cannot do that. You can see that I absolutely just shredded that guy in the open earlier when he went broadside. So you can see I get some shells that go a little bit short. And we are just going to go ahead and finish him off there. So, not my best damage game in this thing at 168, but I can tell you every time I play this thing, I get better. And most importantly, we helped our team win. Top of the leaderboard. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time, folks.